So you mentioned Andrew Huberman puts you in the mind and for success. Wes, you talked about you harvest and experience when your highest self didn't show up. And if I can just phrase it that way, I think of Jordan Peterson's rule number 2 of his 12 rules for life. Treat yourself like someone you are responsible for helping. The reason that hack works for me is because I'm a helper / enthusiast. If I'm laboring with heavy bags and I see an old lady with her groceries, I'll gladly heap hers on as well, just because I'm so motivated to help others. So the mindset shift I like to take is treat yourself like someone you are responsible for helping. That way I can power through my to-do list, my priority list, and that puts me in the right mindset for going after what I want for the day.
Yeah, that's fascinating. I want to throw out a curveball to you guys. Almost not in opposition of what Colin was saying, but have you guys ever experienced where the way to get something hard done is to put something harder on the top of the list that you actually procrastinate on with the formerly hardest thing? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
A recent example that I had this year was I was asked to speak at a wedding. What do they call that? I still to
MC.
No,
best man.
You were the officiator. Was it
yeah, the
officiator?
officiant. Yeah,
Yeah.
which
Okay.
I obviously I didn't know what that meant before, and I forget the term now. So that was like really, I don't want to say it was a good amount of eustress. Like I was happy to do it, but it was like stressful. But I knew that was the hardest thing I probably had to do that year because I'd never done it, and it's for the arguably the most important event of these people's lives up until that point. So I noticed that I got done a whole bunch of other stuff during that time because my brain was like, well, I don't want to do that freaking thing. So like in contrast, it was like, oh, it was almost, I don't know how to describe it, but it's just like way easier. Now, when that thing was not on my list, the next in line, the second in priority, that was the hardest thing. So I found myself doing the thing just below that. Have you guys ever experienced that? And I wonder if that's got to be a psychological pattern that has a name to it.
Yeah, I'm not smart enough to comment on exactly what you're articulating, Wes, but I like definitely. And I think a lot of people might get it just slightly backwards with you've heard, okay, get up today and make your bed, right? To create the momentum of getting yourself into a winning mindset, into a productive mindset. But I would take that back to like playing office. I feel like a lot of people like reorganize the office or straighten up the room or vacuum the carpet or whatever it is to fool themselves, or it's basically a form of procrastination. You feel like you're doing something that's productive, but it's really putting off those, to your point, those higher priority and maybe even more daunting tasks that you should be tackling that day. Maybe we should come up with some formula of, okay, have some sort of huge goal or huge task that's like always hanging over our head that hacks us to get all of those other things that really are important and actually move the business forward so that we could take this and use it to our advantage as opposed to our peril.
Wes, what Colin is talking about and his previous point about doing the hardest thing first, I'm synthesizing what you both talked about, and it's manufacturing stress or manufacturing urgency. You could call it a false sense of stress or a false sense of urgency that gets you into the achiever mindset. And so that's what I'm hearing from both of you gentlemen, that there is a healthy stress, a healthy urgency, a healthy state of war almost that we want to manufacture in order to create that success mindset, to push you to make that one more call, to push you to make that one more email, to push you to, in case that win is just around the corner.
I think it gets tricky if we go too far down the slope of like manufacturing, because then it could just be, I don't really have to do that. I'm tricking my brain, but my brain is no longer tricked. So I wonder if there's a hack there of best to manufacture it by going and joining a team or committing to another human where they're depending on the outcome. Like I didn't manufacture them but they expected me to be up on that stage speaking during their wedding. That's an immovable event. So I wonder if there's something there of you can manufacture it to the point of where you can throw it over to another human or group of humans where they have expectations of you. Because at that point, I wonder if it's triggering the limbic system, because I think that's really what we're getting to, right? How can you trigger your limbic system to say, we have to move, or, not to sound dramatic about it, we will die or move down the social hierarchy, and then eventually that will mean death.
Deadlines, Wes, we know this for sure, right? How often do we throw out a deadline, like a firm deadline, like one that's legitimate, right? And it just so magically happens that it gets done. But how many times I'll be very transparent, very honest here. How many times have you and I thrown a deadline out to each other, but it really wasn't like a hard and fast deadline where if like something didn't happen and it didn't get accomplished, we're in big trouble, that you could just let that one slip by. So yeah, to Ray, you bringing up that sense of urgency. If you want something done, put deadlines on people, and they tend to meet that deadline, whether their biology wants to do the task or not.
You can remind yourself, oh, this is just a little brain teaser, but you can level that up, or you can get extra life bars or whatever in a video game context if you add accountability, right? By telling a friend, by telling a team member, by committing to the team that you're going to do this, and also, Colin, like you said, by adding a deadline. These are ways that compounds the stress, compounds the urgency, and makes it that much more effective.
Yeah, and there's something about confronting, you're not going to get away from the work. Confronting the work, realizing that if you want to make of anything of yourself, you have to get in the octagon. And then once you're in the octagon, that is just between you and the opponent, which is work. None of the other noise matters. Not all of the fans making their comments, or the family saying, what are you doing? Or the friends saying, you'll never make it. Or, hey, your day's only anchored in these two things, Ray, and my day's much harder. No. Once you get in that octagon, then the only thing you have left to do is fight the work. So I think whatever we have to do to get ourselves actually in the arena, on the floor, then the rest takes care of itself. But I think a lot of us, just human nature, is to spend all of this time hemming and hawing and creating excuses. And the tricky part about excuses is once you become smart, it's really easy to create very persuasive excuses that persuade all of the people around you, that really don't matter much in terms of your personal bottom line. This is also why I honestly love money, not in an unhealthy way, but because money is so precise that it says, okay, will Wes do this for free? Okay, maybe the answer is no. Will he do it for $100, $1,000, $10,000, $1 million? Like at some point, there's going to be the equilibrium of where the action is justified by the incentive. It's that whole quote of show me the incentive and I'll show you the result.
Yeah, one of my favorite sayings ever is the heaviest weight at the gym is the front door. And I love that so much, right? Because it's exactly what you just said, Wes. Getting to the arena is typically the part that has the most friction. Once I get to the gym, no problem working out. Absolutely zero issue getting my workout or my cardio run or whatever it is. And like, it's so incredible that just getting dressed into my car, from the car to the gym, like that's where 100% of the issue is. And if I could just do that much, and I'll make it even more embarrassing. I've built out a pretty, robust, for lack of better terms, gym in my basement of my home, in my basement. And just going from my couch down a flight of stairs to the slightly colder basement, basement, right? Yeah, there's enough friction. As I am a big fan. I'm in huge favor of creating an environment that removes as much friction as possible, down to like literally zero, if that's an actual outcome.
Yeah, Wes, I was worried that Colin was going to say that home gym is just on the other side of this camera. And,
virtually, man.
But down the stairs isn't much better. Yeah. I love that the heaviest weight at the gym is the front door. Wes, I was also thinking about the metaphor. I was thinking it was like you said, octagon. I was thinking like Roman gladiators, and it's the noise and the crowd and everything. And it's just get down onto the dirt, like with the lions and like the other gladiators. And you're gonna, like, the chances that you're gonna fight like your life depends on it are pretty high if you're down there in the dirt, if you're down there in the arena. So just get yourself to the arena.
Absolutely love it. I think that's a great message to end on.